Let's bring in former Deputy National Security Advisor for VP Cheney, Heritage Foundation Senior Research Fellow Steve Yates, and Foundation for Defense of Democracy CEO Mark Dubowitz. Thank you both for coming on. Steve, to you first. Here's a reporter asking President Trump about certain red lines. Watch.
And in the negotiations, do you have any red lines in terms of Hamas disarming and whatnot? Are there any places you're willing to negotiate?
Certain things aren't met, we're not going to do it. But I think we're doing very well, and I think Hamas has been agreeing to things that are very important.
Yeah, Steve, I mean, as Ashley was saying earlier, it's a 20-point plan, as we all know, any way they get to all 20 points.
Well, it has to begin at the beginning. I think Secretary Rubio has put it right that the very first step is they have to release all hostages. We're coming up on 2 years. This is the most obvious and most important first step. And of course, then they have to keep the peace. I think President Trump was alluding to the fact that you'll have peace when Hamas decides. That is an implicit point to make clear who the non-status quo actor has been in this. That's the hard part. I think the president's invested a great deal of time and effort. If there's no substitute for presidential leadership, ultimately, this is a lot of work, and it's going to have to take a lot more work to hold. He's putting the best face forward. Hopefully it works. 2 years is a long time for these families to wait for finality.
It is an eternity. Meantime, Fox and Friends First had a guest on today saying that Hamas, Mark Dubowitz, is out of lifelines. Listen to her.
Hamas is out of lifelines, and so are the patrons that financed and supported Hamas. They understand that this conflict cannot be allowed to spill over because it is so dangerous.
And if this thing doesn't work out, Mark, Hamas is out of excuses as well.
Yeah, Trace, look, they've been out of excuses for 2 years. I mean, they should never have violated the ceasefire and launched this October 7th brutal invasion in the first place. And for 2 years, they've had the opportunity to return the hostages, lay down their weapons, and stop terrorizing not only Israelis, but also Palestinians. It's also worth remembering that, the hostages are not only Israeli, but American. So they're out of excuses. And I hope President Trump pushes through with his optimism to some kind of deal. But he's also made it very clear that he is willing to back Israel in, quote, totally obliterating Hamas. And so I think they're out of opportunity, out of excuses, and we need to bring this to a final resolution.
What do you think when you talk about final resolution, Steve Yates? Do you feel like if Hamas releases the hostages, there's this kind of they're really out of any kind of leverage point?
I don't think that they're out of leverage, but I do think it's very, very important that the Abraham Accord countries are part of the muscle to try to keep this 20-point plan moving toward more points. But of course, you can't really get there unless we do these first things. And I think that it's very, very important. I mean, Hamas is a terrorist organization. It should not be a part of the governing institutions there or anywhere. It's not too much to ask that they lay down their arms. And that's really incumbent upon all of those other powers to support Israel, but really support peace.
Yeah. Mark, finally, tomorrow, the 2-year mark, as you pointed out, October 7th. Could this happen tomorrow? What do you think?
Yeah, Trace, I don't think so. I mean, if past is prologue, Hamas is going to negotiate on every point. They're going to backtrack as they have for 2 years. And so I think it's still, there's days, maybe weeks of grinding negotiations to follow. I think people are hoping we'll see a hostage release this week, but then there's obviously going to be a lot of negotiations on these final 20 points. And it's going to take some time for Hamas to be disarmed, for reconstruction to begin, and for a pathway to a better future for Palestinians and Israelis to begin.
Yeah, we're going to have special coverage coming on this tomorrow, October 7th, the 2-year anniversary. Steve Yates, Mark Dubowitz, gentlemen, thank you both.